So I, for one, think that the American people are opposed to this bill. I think they're opposed to the concept of Ukraine first and America last. And I predict that this issue doesn't go away. I predict that the House of Representatives is not going to take up this bill. I predict that the vast majority of the Republicans in the House of Representatives are more conservative than the Republicans in this body. And I predict that this fight is not over. During this debate, and the fact that we were able to delay and talk about this for 5 days, 5.5 days, the Speaker of the House spoke out. And I don't know that he would have been prompted to speak out, although he has spoken out previously against this. But the Speaker of the House spoke out today and said he's not taking this bill up. See, they've put together border reform that actually would transform things, border reform that acknowledges that it's an emergency. So I will be a no and continue to be a no on this bill because I think it puts Ukraine first and America last.
Okay, so the Senate just passed a foreign aid package, a $95 billion with a B aid package to send money overseas to foreign countries. Yep, that's right. We're doing America last yet again. So it's divided into a couple of packages. They want to send $60 billion to that lost war over there in Eastern Europe, where the Ukrainians have already strategically been defeated, but they're going to keep fighting until the last Ukrainian, because the United States is not going to allow them to surrender and come to peace terms. They want to send $14 billion to Israel. You know, they already send $4 billion, over $4 billion a year to the Israelis. And then the Israelis started waging war against allegedly some third world organization. Some people in sandals don't know how to fight. You already have billions of dollars. You got ships, you got rockets, and you need another $14 billion just to fight them. I guess Israel is not as tough as they say. Either that or that money is being funneled to certain people, you know, money laundering with taxpayer money. They want to send a couple of $billion, I think it's $4 billion, to Gaza humanitarian aid, alleged humanitarian aid. Now, I'm looking at the situation. They just bombed Rafah, the last stronghold down there, where they told the Palestinians to take refuge in. They're bombing it, the last place. Is there going to be anybody left after a couple of more months? Is there going to be anybody even left there? Looking at what Israel is doing, is there going to be anybody even left there to take this money? Maybe this $4 billion is just going to be washed up and given to the elite too, just going to be distributed among people in the military and industrial complex and among people in charge of these organizations. And of course, the politicians are going to get kickbacks, and they want to send $5 billion to the Indo-Pacific region, mainly Taiwan, because the United States is running an encirclement campaign over there against China, and they're trying to incite the Taiwanese to go to war with China. They're trying to provoke war with China. They got special operations forces 6 miles off the Chinese mainland. But $95 billion. How much for the border, none? So we're going to take a look at this news story. It's going to be a little bit biased because it's from CBS. They're going to talk about this aid packet being released and Mike Johnson's response to it.
We're going to start with this breaking news for you, though, on Capitol Hill. Just moments ago, Senate lawmakers passed a $95 billion foreign aid bill after months of negotiations. The long-awaited bill still faces an uncertain future in the House, though. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer weighed in after the vote.
Today, we witnessed one of the most historic and consequential bills to have ever passed the Senate. It's certainly been years, perhaps decades, since the Senate passed a bill that so greatly impacts not just our national security, not just the security of our allies, but the security of Western democracy.
So let's get right to Nicole Killian, who's following all of this for us. Nicole, so what is the latest, and when might we hear from lawmakers? I know it's pretty early right now, but they're working.
Well, now they're wrapping up their work, at least in the Senate. The Senate was supposed to be out this week, and in order to pass this $95 billion supplemental, they actually had to work throughout the weekend, including Super Bowl Sunday, which Leader Chuck Schumer just made reference to try to get this done. And furthermore, they've been working throughout the course of the night to try to pass this bill because there were many conservative Republicans who were in opposition to moving forward. They felt that they still stand by their position that if the United States is to provide more funding to Ukraine, that we also have to secure our borders first. So that was the argument that many conservative senators made overnight, like Senators Mike Lee, Senator Ron Johnson, and others. But ultimately, as we saw here early this morning, there were the votes in order to pass the supplemental package, which means it now goes over to the House, which will be coming back today. But Speaker Mike Johnson is already pouring cold water on it. He issued a preemptive statement before this vote saying that this legislation doesn't meet the moment because, Anne Marie, it does not include any provisions to secure the border. But you'll recall the whole reason the Senate took up this particular package without any border provisions was because it was Republicans in the Senate that killed this bill that originally was a bipartisan compromise that included some border components. So many Democratic senators were pretty upset, to say the least, with Speaker Mike Johnson's position, feeling that he is flip-flopping and Republicans as a whole are flip-flopping on this issue. But of course, the headline is that now this $95 billion of foreign aid supplemental moves forward to the House. But whether it gets considered there right now remains unclear and a big open question.
Okay, so we see this lady at the end talking about, well, it didn't include any border security money because the Democrats in the Senate passed border security and the Republicans rejected it. So the Democrats in the Senate are saying, okay, screw y'all. You guys must not be serious. Now, here's the thing that CBS is failing to tell you. The Republicans passed H.R. 2. The Republicans passed the Secure the Border Act in the House a while back, and guess what? The Democrats in the Senate ignored it. They still haven't taken it up. The Senate wants amnesty. They want to let in almost 2 million criminal aliens, illegal immigrants. They want to let them into the country annually. So that's what their border packet. They wanted to send all this money overseas and say, okay, I guess we'll try to appease the Republicans by giving a packet that allows 2 million illegal immigrants to come in. And the actual conservative Make America Great Again and the America First Republicans said, no, this is dead on arrival. So this Senate bill is also dead on arrival because, again, the Democrats in the Senate, they passed it, but it's going to go to Mike Johnson. It's going to go to the House of Representatives, where the Republicans have a majority. This is going to fail. In fact, Mike Johnson is not even going to take it up. And in addition to the Democrats voting for this, we have some RINOs in the Senate who also believe that we need to throw money overseas and damn America, put America last while helping some foreigners on the other side of the world. Let's take a look at one of the main RINOs who you guys are going to recognize.
If we fail to help Ukraine, Putin will invade a NATO nation. He may delay his next invasion until he rebuilds his decimated military. But we must be clear-eyed. Ukraine is not the end. It is a step. If we fail to help Ukraine, NATO, the alliance that's prevented great power conflict for over 75 years, will falter and eventually disintegrate. If we fail to help Ukraine, Putin will invade a NATO nation. He may delay his next invasion until he rebuilds his decimated military. But we must be clear-eyed. Ukraine is not the end. It is a step.
So this bill, pushed by Chuck Schumer, pushed by the Democrats in the Senate, is nothing more than a virtue signal because they know it's dead on arrival. They know, okay, we're going to try to make this excuse. We're going to try to do this for Joe Biden because we're in an election year and people are going to say, oh, the war in Ukraine is lost. If only you threw more money at it, the Ukrainians would have won because that's the solution for the United States government. Throw money at it. Throw money at the drug problem. Throw money at the homeless crisis. Throw money at education. Just throw money at it and hope that something happens. That's not how things work. That's not how reality works. If they sent another $60 billion over there to Ukraine, it's going to be wasted and it's going to be distributed among the elite. But it's not going to change a goddamn thing on the battlefield. So they're trying to make this virtue signal saying, look, the Democrats in the Senate, they passed aid packages for all these foreign countries. And Joe Biden was ready to sign it and help Ukraine. But the Republicans stopped him. There's going to be a talking point. They're not going to mention the Secure the Border Act that the Republicans passed. They're not going to mention that the Democrats failed to negotiate on real border security, not giving amnesty and letting in nearly 2 million a year, but actual real border security, shutting down, dealing with the cartels. They're not going to mention that Joe Biden went to the Supreme Court to fight Texas, to stop Texas from securing a border. They're not going to mention that. They're just going to say, look, the Senate Democrats passed foreign aid packages to help Ukraine, and Joe Biden was ready to sign it, and the Republicans rejected it. Therefore, the Ukrainians lost. So that's going to be their copium. That's how they're going to cope with the fact that they talk all this trash. Oh, Russia sucks. Russia's terrible. Russia's weak. You got trash propagandists, YouTubers putting out all these videos. Oh, Russia is terrible. Russia is the second strongest army in Ukraine. If Russia is that trash, why do you need so much more money? If Russia is that trash, why hasn't Ukraine ran through Russia a long time ago? If Russia is that trash, why is NATO sitting there cowering, letting Ukrainians do the dying for them? Maybe this is all lies and propaganda. So they want to send more money so they can wash it up and distribute it among themselves, and so they can virtue signal come November and say Joe Biden tried, even though he didn't, because this war should have been over back in 2022 when Biden's handlers, because he's Dementia Joe, his handlers and the warmongers in London coordinated to send Boris Johnson to stop a peace deal that was in place 6 weeks after Russia invaded Ukraine. They're not going to talk about any of that, though. They're just going to say the Republicans didn't want to throw more money at the problem, therefore Ukraine is lost. So you should vote Democrat. This is all this is. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts below, share the video. Thanks for watching.